What is going on, everybody? Isaac Mashman here. You are now listening to another episode of Chase the Vision with Isaac Mashman, the podcast that's goal is to help you become a more capable individual and better chase after your vision. Now, the way that is being achieved is by me personally sharing my advice, sharing my knowledge, sharing my experiences, and giving you information that comes straight from the heart, all with the goal of helping you out. You see, I am a firm believer in personal development and self-development because that is the one way that you're able to save time, you're able to skip time frames, and you're able to become a person that has literally decades of experience in a relatively short amount of time simply by learning from other people. So today's episode is going to be very it's not going to be super specific in regards to having one topic that I break down into detail, but it is going to be an episode that provide you guys with a lot of value. You know, if you're someone who's on social media, if you're somebody who's trying to build up a brand for yourself, who's building up a name for yourself online, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a model, an esports gamer, you're a pro footballer, you're anybody who is trying to be anybody online, literally, this episode is going to be for you. This is going to be part 2 of the previous episode, the fundamentals of personal branding, where in that episode I talk about kind of the basics of what it means to have a personal brand, why it's important, and some of the basics in regards to getting started with building your personal brand. But today I'm going to be focusing more so on the mindset. Now, guys, I don't like to talk about mindset too often because I feel like it's overused, it's cliche. A lot of people talk about mindset and use it as a buzzword. They talk about nothing but cliches. They mention the same 10 quotes over and over again. And guys, I went through that little phase online over the past couple of years. I went through it, and then now I look back and I cringe. That is not what this is going to be about. This is about actually giving you real value. And this is about, basics that people don't talk about, information that people don't like to discuss because they're afraid to be labeled as a narcissist. They're afraid to be labeled as egotistical. They're afraid to be labeled as somebody who only cares about themselves, and that's just not the case. Anybody who thinks that this episode is going to be, promoting people to turn into egotistical pricks, just means that, I hate to say it, I don't know what other way to phrase this, but that just means that you yourself have a lot of insecurities with who you are and who you're trying to become. But today's episode is talking about being the public figure. Yes, being the public figure. I literally just came up with that off the top of my head. But there's a certain level of authority that comes with saying you're a public figure. There's a level of respect. There's a level of confidence. Confidence is the best word that I could use to describe what I'm talking about. You see, there are a lot of different people online who want to be somebody. They're people who are aspiring to make music. They're aspiring to become the next Drake, the next Beyonce. And if you go to their profile, you go to their social media, you wouldn't be able to even tell that they make music, or they might only have a song out. They might only have, a couple singles or maybe one EP. You cannot take them serious if they do not take themselves serious, right? Like, the only people who you really support and that you become fans of are people who are confident in who they are and are certain with where they're going in life. You might support a friend, you might support a family member, you might support somebody who you knew back in high school, but you are not going to actually be a diehard fan of somebody who is not a diehard fan of themselves. Be the public figure. Being the public figure, it means to be 100% dedicated to your craft, dedicated to becoming the very best, dedicated to becoming the person who other people follow. Some episodes ago, I talk about why society needs more leaders. I don't remember the episode number off the top of my head, but I say that, 99% of people are followers, and you have that 1% that are leaders. And the 1% who are leaders are the ones that take everybody and point them in the right direction, or if they're a bad leader or bad person, they point them in the wrong direction. That's why we have so many issues going on with society right now, because people are just following whoever is stepping up as a leader. And guys, if you really want to become anybody extraordinary, you have to view yourself as a public figure. This is something that I talk to my clients about every single time I talk to somebody. And let's say, I'll use the example of a model, somebody who's trying to be a well-known model who wants to be featured on, all the Sports Illustrated magazines, the Men's Health, all those covers, the covers that people grow up aspiring to be on, that you're standing in the grocery line at the store and you're looking at Cosmopolitan or geez, I cannot even pronounce that. You're looking at that magazine and you're thinking to yourself, wow, what would it be like to be one of those celebrities who pops up on the cover of that magazine in the store? It would be epic. It would be great. But I was talking to a model friend of mine, and I'm just telling him, I'm like, man, the only way that you're actually going to pop off and you're going to get people who are following with you is if you are dedicated to where you're going. If you are dedicated with who you are becoming. You already have the experience, you have the talent, you have the looks, but right now you're lacking the mindset. And people are able to sense that lack of mindset. They're able to sense that lack of self-confidence. Think about when you're in high school or middle school and you were just that middle schooler who was super awkward, who didn't have confidence. People were able to sense that. But then you have a couple of those people. You have that high school football jock or that high school, person, the popular kid who had that confidence that everybody went to. It's because they were confident in who they were. You can't expect other people to follow you and to support you if you are not leading yourself. To be a leader, you have to first lead yourself in your actions. Men, you have to lead your households. Women, you have to lead your own households. It goes and works on both sides. And the one thing that I've noticed, and this is part of the reason why I decided to get involved with personal branding, is there's so much talent out there. And there are so many people who are big thinkers, who are people who are aspiring and who have that dream, who have that vision of greatness. They have this vision of, oh my gosh, I can see myself in flashing lights. But the one thing they lack is the personal brand to show that there's somebody who's trying to become somebody. I'm not saying fake it till you make it, like buy a Lamborghini or rent a Lamborghini for the day and take pictures, or go rent out an Airbnb for a music video. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is express to your audience and express to the people who are following you that, hey, I am working to become this person. I am confident in my ability to strive towards this. I know that at the end of the day, there's no other way of going about this. Like, there is no plan B, there's no plan C, there's no plan D. My plan A is simply becoming this great public figure. It's becoming the person who I was wanting to become when I was younger. I was talking to a friend and he's telling me about how he wants to move across the states and go attend film and animation. He wants to go to college for that. But I was talking to him because this is the same friend who's wanting to make music, who has actually released an EP, who's released multiple songs, and he wants to become a well-known artist, and he has a very creative vision. I'm talking to him, and I'm like, why are you going to film school? Why do you want to go and learn about animation when you have this dream of becoming an artist? You see, subconsciously, what you're doing is looking for a plan B. You're looking for a fallback. And that attitude of having a fallback is the same attitude that is lacking in certainty. When I talk about mindset, I talk about certainty, being 100% certain that you are going to be respected, that you're going to be followed, that you're going to get your song in the Billboard, that you're going to be on top of a magazine, that you're going to be on top 10 or YouTube trending, that whenever people search you up, you're going to pop up and you're going to show your accolades. You're going to show that you're somebody who has done something great. And this isn't just for selfish reasons, but think about you starting up a nonprofit. If you want to start up a nonprofit and you want to be known as the person who saved the whales, if you are not confident in your ability to raise funding for this nonprofit, or you are not confident in your ability to actually save the whales to begin with, how do you expect people to fund you? How do you expect people to get behind your vision? A good example of this is Greta Thunberg, right? I do not follow her, deeply. I mentioned her in an episode way back when, but she is a 16-year-old woman who is dedicated and determined to spreading her message about climate change, to bring awareness to that because she is confident and she knows what she believes in. She's not doing this for selfish reasons. She's actually doing it for quite selfless reasons. However, if she didn't have the confidence and the belief in her own message, she would not be able to get people to follow her. When I talk about time frames, I know that this episode is it's nonstop fire. This would normally be a Friday Fire episode. I'm dropping this on a Saturday morning. But when I talk about cutting time frames and when I talk about learning information, right at the beginning of the episode, I talk about the purpose of Chase the Vision with Isaac Mashman, but helping you become a more capable person through sharing my experiences. I'm confident in my message. I'm confident that the things that I am telling you, if applied and if executed on, can save you a lot of time. I have this confidence, and that is why you're listening to me right now. And I humbly say this. I say this with a attitude and with a energy of genuine. Like I'm saying this in a genuine way, rather, of you're listening to me for a reason. You came across my profile, you came across my social media, you came across and subscribed to my podcast for a reason. I was able to get you to do something, and that's something that I will never, ever abuse. But you see, if you take that same level of confidence and that same level of certainty and that same level of belief in yourself, and you direct that towards your aspirations and towards your goals, the world is at your fingertips. 98% of success is mindset, honestly, because if you lack the mindset and you lack the willpower to control yourself, then that means that you will not physically take the action steps to do what you actually need to do. It's all a mind game. It's all mental. And people underestimate themselves, and they overestimate what it's actually going to take. Now, don't get me wrong, it's going to take a ton of sacrifices. I was pondering about this earlier today. I was like, man, it takes a ton of sacrifices in order to actually become successful and to actually achieve these things. However, the sacrifices are worth it at the end. But I am also not going to underestimate my own personal ability. I am confident. I am not overestimating myself, and I'm not underestimating myself. I am confident. You see, there's a fine line between cockiness and confidence. Because honestly, guys, have you ever met somebody who maybe they came from money, or maybe they came from a household where they were literally spoon-fed every single thing in their life? They had everything handed to them, and they were just the most cocky people ever. You could not have a conversation with them. You didn't want to be around them because they were cocky. They were like, I can do everything. It's like that frat boy who's overly driven by testosterone and just wants to be the center of attention. I'm not saying turn into that individual, but what I am saying is balance that line between maybe some people might view you as cocky, but the majority of people would view you as confident and would therefore follow you. You're always going to have haters, guys. I was on Twitter the other day and going through one of Mr. Beast's tweets, right? Mr. Beast, the famous YouTuber. And it was his tweet about the lottery. He's spent literally over $1 million on lottery tickets, and he's lost. He has not actually won. And something that he said was, it's a waste of money. And I replied to that tweet, and I mentioned that, if anything, it's like the poor person's get rich quick scheme, because people play the lottery. Well, the majority of people who play the lottery, rather, are poor people. I come from a household where, I remember growing up, my grandparents used to always play the lottery with that one aspiration of hitting big. They never hit big. Maybe one day my grandmother will hit big. I'm not entirely sure. Not hating on her at all. But what I am saying is I replied to that by saying it's literally, the poor person's get rich quick scheme. And somebody commented and was like, man, all that money could have been put to better use. That $1 million could have been put to, feeding the hungry or whatever. And I'm like, he's done so much already. He's literally donated 20 million trees. He's done a whole bunch of charity work. He's cleared out dog shelters. He's done a ton, but you're always going to have that one person who finds something to complain about and something to, bitch about, for lack of a better word. And, don't sweat it. Don't worry about that. And that one person in this case would maybe view you as cocky. But if you're an artist, take pride in who you are. If you go up to a new person and you're networking with them, tell them what you do. Tell them about your music. Tell them about your aspirations. I'm not saying load out all your goals, but tell them, yeah, man, I've been making music for a couple of years. I just got my first album, X, Y, and Z on Spotify, Apple Music. Things are going really good. I'm working to become an artist. I have a passion for it. I would love to tour someday. Talk to them about that. If you're, a model, say that, yeah, man, I've been modeling for clothing lines. I love, physical fitness. It's something that I want to explore more into. And by having these conversations and by having the confidence and certainty in yourself to even express your goals and express your aspirations and tell others about what you're working to do, you're going to be opening up doors that would have never been opened if you never open up your mouth. Closed closed mouths do not get fed. That's an overly used cliche, but it's accurate. Some of my best, and I mean best friendships, best experiences happened through opening up my mouth, through engaging in conversation, both on and offline. A lot of my relationships and a lot of my, the great things in life that have come to me have come through a simple message online, through a tweet, through a direct message, through a DM. And I have no regrets about that because I was confident in who I was. And I knew that going into this conversation, I wasn't doing something with a malicious intent. Because I know that at the end of the day, the more successful I become and the more people I help, the more people I influence, the more people I educate, the more people I teach, the more people who know who I am, that means the more impact in a positive way I'm able to have on these people. That means that the bigger the ripple grows. Think about throwing a stone into a lake or into a river. You see a ripple. It's a ripple effect. It's like electricity. It's a spider web. I could use every single analogy under the sun. But I remember, some time ago when I was just kind of evaluating, what I was trying to build my brand around. Now, obviously, I knew it was about Isaac Mashman, like I'm myself, first and foremost, your personal brand is you. But I'm diving deeper into it and I'm like, well, what do I stand for? What are my aspirations? What do I want to be viewed as? Do I want to be open about certain subjects? Do I want to talk about this? What do I not want to talk about? That's why I never really got too big into politics. I never got too big into talking about subjects that would be, maybe considered crude. I'm not talking about comedy. Like I keep a level of professionalism about my brand. I'm not saying that I'm being dishonest. Because I'll dive into these different topics, or I'll throw in a joke, or I'll talk about different things here and there, but it's nothing that's over the top, because I also know that I do not want to build up my personal brand by being one of those party kids. I know a lot of YouTubers and a lot of these Instagram, quote, celebrities, if you want to call them a celebrity, built up their brand around smoking pot and doing funny, dumb videos on World Star. I don't want to be known as that. I'm not about to, put a ton of tats on my face. I'm not going to be showing a bunch of 12-year-old kids on social media me taking a bong rip and shotgunning a Bud Light. Like, that wasn't who I was trying to build my brand around, because that isn't me, And the reason I even mentioned that is take some time to evaluate who you are. Take some time to ask yourself, who do you want to be known as? And then start taking the action steps every single day on and offline to build up a reputation for yourself. I'm currently building up a reputation for myself as somebody who's teaching others as a mentor and as a legit mentor. If you go to my bio, I literally say showing you how to get results without the guru BS, because I don't like all of that fake stuff. I'm trying to keep it 100. I will always keep it 100. And that's why it's taken me time to get to the point where I'm actually able to progressively grow my brand and consistently grow my brand, because I've been trying to figure these different things out. Not saying overthink it, but at the same time, don't go into it and not have any idea at all. You have to have an idea as to what direction you're going in. And that direction, chances are, is going to be up. I would hope that direction you're going is in an upward, way, not a downward spiral. So guys, take some pen and paper tonight, or take some time and write out with a pen and paper, these different things. Write out your aspirations, your passions, your goals. Ask yourself the difficult questions. And you might not have all the answers off the get-go, but that's okay. I was never one of those people who was like, I am going to straight up become a doctor. I am going to be a doctor. Or I was never one of those kids who was like, I'm going to be a cop. I'm going to be a firefighter. That wasn't me. It took me forever to figure out something that I actually wanted to do. And then once I figured out that I wanted to be involved with business, that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, that I wanted to build up a company and build up a name and build up something great and solve problems in the marketplace and make a difference, I was faced with an entirely new set of challenges. And that new set of challenges was, I know I want to be in a business and be an entrepreneur, but what business am I building now? These answers will not come like the snap of your fingers. It won't. If it does, great. But chances are, for a lot of you, you might be at a turning point in your life where you want to go to college, or where you're thinking about going and traveling. You're thinking about moving. You're thinking about, going and pursuing a new career opportunity, getting into a new job, or you're maybe you have this voice in the back of your mind that's telling you, man, I have always wanted to be that artist. I've always wanted to design comic books. But you had a bunch of people tell you you're not able to make money doing comic books. You're not able to make money in your art. If you have that voice in the back of your head, chances are it's there for a reason. You should start listening to it. Guys, we are in a point right now to where personal branding and building up a reputation for yourself online could not be easier. And there are so many opportunities that exist. And it's also your Willy Wonka golden ticket to success. It is your golden ticket to fame, to fortune, to wealth, to riches, to living the life that you really want to live. If there are people online right now who literally have no talent except their own personality, doing all these crazy dumb things and making money online and making a name for themselves and a reputation, then imagine you, somebody who has talent, going out of your way to show people who you are and to show and express your personality and to show the world who Isaac Mashman is, who Jennifer is, who Hannah is, who Billy Bob Joe is. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was in LA, and I'm not trying to down talk anybody, but I'm walking with Diggy Dirk, right? I was managing Diggy at the time, and he flew to LA. I was still in California living there, and we're walking on Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's probably 10 o'clock at night. It's the first time, even though I was in LA for, plenty of times, it was the first time ever being on Hollywood Walk of Fame, and I saw Daddy Longneck, right? That's his Instagram handle. And I absolutely hate this kid's content. I cringe at his content. I don't like what he stands for. I don't like any of that. But I remember just walking and seeing him, and I'm like, one, he didn't give us a good impression. I'm not going to lie. But then I'm looking at this kid, and I mean this in a most respectful way, but I'm like, how did people make him famous enough to where I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard right now and I recognize this short little kid? Like, how is this possible? And I mentioned that dumb example and that dumb experience to tell you, if somebody like that, who lack of better wording and a better phrase, doesn't really have a ton of talent, and you who has a talent, and you who has something that you could bring to the marketplace, that you have something that people want, that people, could actually use. Think about it. Like, I know a lot of times people doubt themselves, and this goes back to underestimating yourself. You might be questioning, well, I don't think people would really want to listen to my voice. I don't think people would really want to listen to what I have to say. I don't think people really want to look at my work or look at my videos or look at my content. Guys, there are people who will look at your stuff. Again, most people follow other people. They're not trying to do what you're trying to do. You have to keep that into account. You have to take that into account every single day and remind yourself that you are a part of the 1% of the population who's working to become somebody great and somebody well-known. You are being a public figure. You're being that person. You're being that authority. You're that leader, that expert, that personality that everybody growing up told you could not be, yet you still wanted to become. You got this. But the first step is figuring out who you want to be, and then the second step is believing that you can become that person. Go out and do it. Go out and guys, I'm more than open to sitting down and talking with you and trying to figure out, what you're actually trying to become. I'm willing to sit down and discuss this because this is an experience that I've been through myself. I don't have all the time in the world, but what I do have is some guidance and some words that I could probably help point you in the right direction. Go chase after your vision. I'm not some motivational speaker. Don't call me as such. But it also pains me and it hurts me to see so many people with such big dreams fail to pursue them, and such big visions fail to pursue these visions simply because they don't believe in themselves or they do not think it is possible. The only limit that exists is the limit that you do or do not set for yourself. Take that into account. Keep that in the front of your mind. Don't forget that. That's something I had to learn. All of the things that I've learned have happened over the past couple of years. It hasn't been overnight, but it also hasn't been 25 years of me going and trial and error and all this other stuff. No. But every single situation, every single day, I wake up and I'm willing to learn something new. I want to become better. I want to achieve more. I am constantly growing. It's time that you start growing and you literally stop paying attention to the people who are dying and the people who are holding you back. And what I mean by the people who are dying is, think about a tree. If a tree does not get the sunlight and doesn't have the nutrients in the soil and does not have the water it needs to grow, that tree dies. And the way that you flourish and thrive and grow is by feeding yourself the proper nutrients. And the way that you do that is by going where the nutrients are. Start hanging out with good people. Start hanging out with people who are big thinkers, who have big dreams. Those are the individuals you have to surround yourself with if you're trying to become anything other than average. Unless you're trying to become below average, but I hope to God that you're not trying to become that. Go chase after your vision, guys. Give yourself permission. With that being said, I'm going to wrap up this episode. This was part 2 of my talk on personal branding. I'll be diving deeper into personal branding in the future. But until then, I would definitely appreciate it if you follow me on social media at Isaac Mashman. You can go to my website, isaacmashman.com, working on getting a new rollout, a new design up for that. And guys, I ask you one favor before we depart and before you click off and do whatever you want to do for the day, which I hope is going to be taken into account what I told you and actually taking time to figure out who you want to become. But all points aside, if you got any ounce of value, share this with a friend. I'm not going to run advertisements. I'm not going to, fill up your ears with talking about this Alibaba dropshipped product or buy my Shopify e-commerce BS course. Like, nah. But the only way that this show really is going to grow, aside from the work that I'm putting in through marketing, is by word of mouth. The most powerful form of marketing is in word of mouth. And if you could share this with a friend, if you can make a post on Instagram, you could send a tweet and tell somebody you know, an aunt, a brother, a sister, a business partner, why they should listen to Chase the Vision with Isaac Mashman, I would greatly appreciate it. And with that being said, have an amazing and blessed day.